everyone, if you're new here, my name's Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. Today we're starting another reading vlog. Since it's the end of the year, I thought it'd be a good time to focus on reading some books on my TBR that are part of series that I'm in the middle of, but specifically series that I'm like almost done with, that I just have like 1 or 2 books left in the series and then I can be done. There are so many different book series that are on my radar and on my TBR right now, but sometimes it's a little overwhelming to start a new series when I'm still in the middle of so many. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little reading vlog where we can finish some book series together. I love watching these videos. It's so satisfying to see people like check off series. I didn't do a reading journal for 2024, but I definitely want to start one in 2025 and do like a tracker of all the series I'm reading or in the middle of or completed. So I'm not quite sure off the top of my head how many series I'm in the middle of right now. I'll put the number on the screen. But honestly, it really stresses me out probably more than the average person to be in the middle of a bunch of series. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get started with the first book for this video. If you saw my Christmas reset vlog, you know that I recently read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This was such an incredible read. And so I have just been itching to pick up the next book. There's only 2 books in this little duology, so should be easy to complete. Book 2 is called Ruthless Vows, and I don't want to say too much about the plot in case you're watching this video and you haven't read this series. I don't want to spoil anything from Divine Rivals, but this series basically follows Iris and Roman. They live in like an alternate 1940s Europe historical fiction fantasy world, and the world that they live in does have like gods and magic and stuff. And part of the big plot in this series is that the gods are fighting and they have their own war going on, and so they're enlisting like humans to join their sides of the war. And then Roman and Iris are 2 main characters that we're following in this book, are aspiring journalists, and they are working at the same newspaper competing for this one columnist position that's available. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers plotline. These books are actually on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm going to be reading this one on my Kindle, and I actually already started it last night, so I can go ahead and give first impressions. I'm already 28% of the way through. Here's the thing with Ruthless Vows, guys. I had heard, I feel like from a lot of people, that they did not like Ruthless Vows nearly as much as Divine Rivals. So I'm feeling a little bit like hesitant and nervous. I think that maybe it's something with the ending that people don't like, so I'll be curious to see my thoughts. But so far, I'm loving it. It feels like a continuation of the first book in the best way. I'm really intrigued with where the story's going. I'm not feeling bored. Each chapter is third person POV, but it switches perspective between Iris and Roman. So today is Saturday. I'm actually planning to pre-film a few other BOOKMAS videos today. But other than that, the only thing on my agenda today is reading. So I'm hopeful to get a good way through this book today, and I will update you when I have more thoughts. Hey everyone, it's a few hours later now, and I'm going to get back to reading. I haven't really done any reading today. I'm really hoping this is going to be a 5-star series for me because I absolutely love the first book, and I'm really loving this one so far. The first like quarter of it has been really good. I'm continuing with caution because I feel like I saw a bunch of reviews from people reading it throughout the year, either putting it off or right when they read it, who were disappointed. So I'm hoping that's not the case for me, but we'll see. I'm gonna get back to reading. I'm gonna set a goal to get to 50% before bed. I'm at 28% right now. I feel like that's doable. So wish me luck. We're gonna try to get to the halfway mark, and I'll update you before the end of the night. Okay, I'm here to give my last update of the night. It's almost midnight and I am about to fall asleep. I was trying to get to the 50% mark and I got to 48%, so we will take it. This next chapter is like 12 minutes long though, and I was like, if it's like under 5 minutes, I was like, maybe I'll read it, but as soon as I saw 12, I was like, I cannot make it 12 minutes. I am still really liking the book. I do feel like it kind of ebbs and flows in terms of pacing a little bit, but I feel like that's normal with a lot of kind of fantasy books where like a big moment happens and then you kind of decompress and then another one, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of ebbs and flows. I feel like that's really normal. But I will say there are times where I feel like the plot lulls a little bit, like I get a little bit bored. But honestly, it's hard to get bored with this book because the writing is so good and I really love the characters, so I'm just having fun in the world. I will say it's almost like the plot of the first one, but like in reverse. Not really, but like kinda. It like mirrors the first book in a lot of ways, which I think is really cool, but it's also different enough that it like makes sense and the story is still progressing. It's not just like rehashing the same thing in a different way. If you haven't read this yet, you have to read this. It's so good. And it's the perfect time of year to read this. Like, this is absolute ultimate cozy reading. It's like not holiday themed, but something about this book is like really high stakes and entertaining, but also extremely cozy and like heartwarming. It's just the perfect blend for me. I can't stop yawning, so it's time to clock out. Good morning, everyone. And oh, actually, it's definitely not morning. It's 12:30, so good afternoon. I had a very productive morning and went for a big walk, doing all my Sunday things. But now it's the afternoon and I want to sit down and read more Ruthless Vows. I honestly may sit here and try to binge the rest of this book this afternoon because I have nothing else on the agenda and it's so good. I am currently at 62%. My Kindle says I have about 3 hours left in the book, so I'm in a very reading mood today, which is good because I'm filming a reading vlog, so love when that works out, but I'm gonna get back to it. Just made it to part 4, so I'm 67%, so 2/3 of the way through the book. Just left on like a huge cliffhanger too at the end of the last chapter. I'm not accepting criticism on this book at this time, but I'll follow up and circle back. I have just been binging Ruthless Vows all afternoon and I just finished it, so I wanted to give you some thoughts. I don't know what to rate this because I really genuinely had such a great time, and Abby Iceland, I love her videos. I saw her Goodreads review and every word was exactly how I felt. So I think overall, Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, definitely a 5-star series for me. I absolutely loved it. I had such a great time. I think when you go into the second book, if you're gonna read it, you need to know that it's more focused on like war and the fantasy element and kind of solving the political issues so that we can like live out and be happy, and less about the romance. I feel like the first book is the romance and then the second book is like the war, but we have to deal with the war in order to like have the romance. I think a lot of people who read and loved the first one for the romance of it were disappointed with this one because it didn't focus so much on that, but honestly, it didn't bother me. I want to keep this spoiler free, but there was something sad that happens at the end of Ruthless Vows. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. I felt like that was the right choice for the plot, which maybe is like a crazy thing for me to say. I feel like you can't get out of like an extreme war conflict without something sad happening, and I don't like it when books with war have like something where nothing bad happens and like everyone just ends up like okay and the bad guy dies. You know what I mean? There's always like a sacrifice that has to be made in order to achieve peace. So anyway, I'm so excited to have found a new 5-star series. This was just incredible. I ate it up. These are the perfect cozy books to read this time of year. Also, I recently discovered that with these original print hardcover editions, you can take the dust jackets off and they're beautiful underneath. So on Divine Rivals, it has this beautiful gold foiled typewriter that says Dear Iris on it. And then on Ruthless Vows, you've got a blue cover and it says Dear Roman. And these are just so freaking beautiful. I am obsessed. So I'm very tempted to display these on my bookshelf standing up like this. If you have these versions and you didn't know that this is underneath, I just wanted to let you know. Now that I've completed the first series in this vlog, let's move on to the next one. So I'm still kind of in a reading mood today. I was thinking it could be really fun to cozy up and read the rest of my Heartstopper volumes. I read the first 2 volumes back in June and stopped because I thought it'd be fun to check out the TV show, but I just haven't had a chance to really binge it, and I also am nervous because I don't want to keep going and then accidentally get spoilers for the others. So I've decided I think I want to finish reading the whole series and then just watch the whole series. If you don't know what Heartstopper is about, it's a graphic novel series that follows 2 young men named Nick and Charlie, and what starts as an unlikely friendship between the 2 boys develops into something more. This is Charlie and this is Nick. I think there's going to be 1 more volume in the graphic novel series that comes out. These are just the sweetest, most heartwarming books, and they really touch on important topics. I just love Nick and Charlie as a couple. They are so sweet together and it's so fun to read about them. Their highs and lows are very real, and I feel like this series does a good job not sugarcoating anything, and that really allows me to connect with the characters more because I feel like they're like real humans. And I did watch, I think, the first 2 episodes of the show a while back, and the casting is just incredible. Like, they literally look exactly like how they look in the illustrations in the graphic novels. So let's dive in to volume 3. I'm probably gonna put my headphones on and read out in the living room. Anders is watching sports. It's a really cozy vibe out there right now with the Christmas tree, so I thought I might just have a cozy little Sunday afternoon. Maybe I'll make a hot chocolate, and I'm excited to get all caught up on Nick and Charlie's stories. Okay, I just finished Heartstopper Volume 3. I feel like I have so many like emotions and reactions while I'm reading these, like viscerally, more than almost any other book that I read, which makes sense since it's a graphic novel. You're gonna like see how they're feeling and like feel it more, I think, than just reading the words on the page. These are just the cutest books. They feel like a warm hug. They're so wholesome, but they also do a really great job tackling like tougher issues like coming out as gay, eating disorders, dynamics with friends, growing up. Yeah, they just feel like a warm hug. I feel like that's the best way to describe them. Volume 3 follows Nick and Charlie on a school trip to Paris. So it's really fun because you get the dynamic with their friends a bit more. These are just delightful. I'm excited to keep reading, so I'm gonna start Volume 4 now. Okay, Anders is being the nicest boyfriend and he's watching the very first episode of Heartstopper in the background while I'm reading Volume 4 because I've already watched the first episode, so he's watching it to see if he wants to watch it with me and if we're gonna watch it together. So it'll be vibey to have that on in the background while I'm reading Volume 4. So if you see it, that's why it's on. Okay, I just finished Volume 4 and I was literally like trying to hold back tears while I was reading this one. It was so good. Probably my favorite one so far. This one really touches on and addresses mental health issues. I don't want to give like obviously spoilers, but that's kind of a big theme in this book and I feel like it's done so incredibly well. Quality stuff. This one's definitely a 5-star, so my favorite one so far for sure. Oh, and Anders watched the first episode of Heartstopper. We're gonna watch that together once I finish reading all of the volumes, but I am going to forge onward and start Volume 5 and then probably have some dinner and watch the show when I finish this. Okay, I just finished Heartstopper Volume 5, so I'm all caught up. I just completely binged Volumes 3, 4, and 5 this afternoon, but that was exactly what I wanted to do, and I really do feel like for me personally, binging these makes them more meaningful. But I also can see a world in which people want to space them out. I had a lot of fun reading all of these back to back this afternoon. I still think Volume 4 has been my favorite so far. That one was definitely 5 stars and was a standout for me. These books are just so incredibly lovable and I had so much fun reading them. I can't recommend them enough, especially if you want to get into graphic novels. I think these are a great beginner graphic novel series. I mean, it's the first one I've gotten really into as an adult. If you guys have any other graphic novel recommendations for me, definitely leave them in the comments below because I'm interested in finding a new one to fill the void now that Heartstopper is over. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna actually make some dinner and then maybe watch some of the Heartstopper show on Netflix just because I don't really want to leave the world yet and I want to enjoy getting to watch the show now that I've read the graphic novels. Hey guys, it's been a few hours and it is just about time for me to get ready for bed, but I always like to wind down with a book before I fall asleep, so I probably won't get too far in my next read, but wanted to let you know that I am starting a new book. I really can't believe I already finished 2 series today. I'm being so productive, and now we're starting on the 3rd. Now the next series we are going to tackle is Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver. I started reading Chestnut Springs in June, I think, but I really want to start the Rose Hill series that came out this year, which is Wild Love, Wild Eyes, but I haven't allowed myself to start that series until I finish Chestnut Springs. So this is the 5th and final book in the series. It's called Hopeless and it follows Bo Eaton, who is one of the 3 Eaton brothers, and his love story is with Bailey Jansen, who is the outcast bartender and shy girl from the wrong side of the tracks. These books are really fun and very bingeable but very unserious, and I'm totally here for it, but I feel like you have to have the right expectations going into these books. And I don't mean that as a criticism because I eat these books up, girl. I think a lot of people were waiting on Bo's book for a really long time. They were so excited to hear his story. But then I feel like a lot of the Chestnut Springs fans were just a little bit disappointed with this one. Like, it just doesn't rank as highly as some of the other books in the series for most people. Personally, for me, I liked books 3 and 4 the most, which was Powerless and Reckless. So I don't know. I just don't have, I guess, the highest of hopes, which is ironic since this book is called Hopeless. But you know, you never know. Maybe I'll be surprised. So this is my next read for this video. This one is on Kindle Unlimited as well, so I'm probably just gonna read this on my Kindle. When you download these books from Kindle Unlimited, the covers are like actual photos of real couples, and I'm like, guys, we have got to get the new covers on the Kindle Unlimited ones because I cannot walk around having this on my Kindle. But you know what? No shame. I'm gonna get started with this tonight, and I will update you tomorrow. Hey everyone, it's the next day and it's a little bit after 5 p.m. right now. I just wrapped up with work, so I'm gonna get back to reading and wanted to update you. So, okay, my thoughts on this book. Hopeless so far to me is it's okay. I don't know. I feel like I went in with low expectations. I don't know. I just like don't feel that connected to Beau or Bailey. He's 35 and all man. She's 22 and all virgin. Just have like some weird dynamics going on here that I am not a huge fan of. First of all, their age gap is really weird. Genuinely, 13-year age difference is criminal. Like 22-year-olds are babies compared to 35-year-old men. No, I actually hate that. Like when I think about it too long, I start gagging because that's not okay. That's the first thing. The next thing is that I just don't really connect with Beau. He is supposed to have such like a trauma-ridden past from being in the military, which valid. And even with that, it's just been like referenced. It's not been like addressed or unpacked. I'm feeling a little bit frustrated with him because I feel like he's aware he has all these issues, but we don't like explore or unpack them at all. And then Bailey, she's been like branded on the back of this book as like a shy girl. She's like not really shy, at least not with Beau. There was no like moment where they like had a moment of trust that built confidence in her being able to share more with him, I guess. So it just kind of felt like she trusted him out of nowhere. But the basic plot of this book is that Bailey's from the wrong side of the tracks. She comes from a family that has not been extremely well off, and her brothers are just like the worst kind of people, basically. And so the whole town is prejudiced against the Jansons because of the last name, because her brothers are so awful that everyone like hates the Jansons. So now Bailey's like, oh, this sucks. I'm so different from them. I'm nothing like them. She can't get hired places is like kind of the issue. Beau is like, Bailey, okay, how about we just tell everyone that we're getting married? You'll get to have my last name, and then we'll see how everyone treats you. Like it's a branding issue with the last name. It's not that people don't like you, and that's gonna solve the problem. And to me, it just like doesn't make sense because her last name is not going to change unless they actually get married. What difference would it make for them to be engaged versus just like dating? Do you know what I mean? Like, why aren't we doing just fake dating? So I think that's the thing that's annoying me about this book is I'm like, I'm just not buying like the fake marriage trope. It like, I don't understand why they need to do that. And another thing, why are we walking on eggshells with Beau? I feel like everyone walks on eggshells with Beau. I think if we got some more of like the emotional mushy stuff from Beau, I would like him a lot more, but he's very locked up. So he's just kind of frustrating me in the emotional intelligence department. I feel like I have a lot to say considering I'm only like 120 pages into the book, but those are my first impressions. Hi guys, I figured it was time for an update because I've read this chunk in the middle here. So last time we checked in, I was on chapter 12. I'm now on chapter 29. I'm feeling largely the same about Hopeless so far. It's funny how much my first impressions like are tracking with the rest of this book. I think these books are too spicy for me. I don't mind spicy scenes in a book when I'm like really connected to the characters. This is a super physical relationship when I was really craving kind of more of an emotional story from them because they both have very interesting lives and backstories that could be being explored, but they're not really. I just wish this had a little more of that and a little bit less of like the physical stuff because it's just a little bit much sometimes for me in these books. That's my update. I'm gonna keep reading. This one's for all my astrology girlies. Beau is a Gemini. I have no question in my mind. I think something about the vibe of these books also. I'm so sorry. It's just not sitting great with me after the election. I know these are set in Canada, but they're very like conservative coded in a lot of ways. I also feel like I haven't been in the biggest contemporary romance mood lately. I don't know what it is. Ever since the election, they just haven't been hitting as hard. The age gap in this book is just still upsetting me. Like he's very protective, which I guess is good, but then at the same time, there's just like moments where I feel like it's like there's a really fine line between protective and predatory. I feel like he's riding that line. I know he wouldn't do anything to her, but all right, pray for me, y'all. I'm going into another spicy chapter. Alright, it's the next day and I finished Hopeless by Elsie Silver. None of my thoughts really changed with the ending. I feel like these books are advertised as like a typical contemporary romance, and like maybe this is a hot take because I haven't really read like erotica, but I kind of feel like they border on erotica and like no one talks about that. These books just are very physical. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that, sometimes I'm not, and lately I just have not been in the mood for that. I think that the way like sex is kind of talked about in some of these books can feel a little like immature or like middle school to me in a way that just like kind of cringes me out. I think I was just more in the mood for like a character study, an emotional romance. We scratched the surface, but I wish we could have gone a bit deeper with Bo and Bailey. I think if you like this kind of book, this is the creme de la creme of this genre. So it's really not a critique on this book specifically. I think this genre is just one that I'm not super into right now for whatever reason. Reckless is the best book in the series in my opinion. Like I actually ate that up and loved it. I read it in one night. I have nothing but good things to say about Reckless. I also think this one just coming down off the high of Reckless, it set it up for failure because no one was gonna live up to Reckless, you know? Overall, I am glad that I read the series and I am looking forward to reading the Rose Hill series, but I do want to make sure I'm not like forcing myself to read those because I think that these hit really great when you read them at the right time, but you have to be in the mood for like this specific kind of book and genre. With all that being said, I am done with the Chestnut Spring series, so I feel very accomplished to have finished another book series in this vlog. I can't believe I've already finished 3 different series. Today I actually am going home for Thanksgiving. After work, my boyfriend and I are driving up to my parents' house to spend a couple days there, but I didn't want to end this vlog yet. I did want to read one more book with you guys. I think it's time to read Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. This is a chunky book, but I figured because I'm gonna have the next few days off of work for Thanksgiving, it would be the perfect time to dive into my favorite series that I've read this year so far. I have super high hopes and high expectations for this book. I actually put on my Magnolia Parks t-shirt. It's kind of like Gossip Girl set in London. It's very high society, rich, wealthy, young adults / teens living their lives, and there's just like drama. It's very character driven. There are currently 5 books out in the Magnolia Parks universe. The first book is Magnolia Parks, and that follows Magnolia Parks. She's a young woman living in London, and then Daisy Hates came out after that, and it follows Daisy's POV for that same period of time. Then we got our second book, Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. So that is a new time period, new POV, well, back to the original POV of Magnolia. Then we have Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, and that one follows Daisy during the same time period as Magnolia in The Long Way Home. So those two kind of like go together in a sense. And now we have, this is the third and final book in the Magnolia Parks side of things, and that's Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. So this is the latest release in the series at large and the final book in the Magnolia Parks kind of like trilogy, if you will. Kind of complicated. I hope that all made sense. But I actually read the first 4 books that are out in the series back in like April. I stopped myself from reading Into the Dark right away. It was always my plan to come back and finish the series before the end of the year. I might get this on my Kindle just because I don't know if I can deal with this chunker. I also think at some point I'm going to want to do a reread of all of these and go through and like highlight and annotate my copies, but I want to do that like all together at once, and I don't want to start with this one. I read the first 4 on my Kindle, then I got physical copies because it turned into my favorite series and I wanted to have them on my shelf. So I haven't annotated any of the other copies that I have. Kind of makes me want to keep this one like clean and fresh for now. So with all that being said, I'm gonna go pack to go home, but I will see you guys there and give you a reading update very soon. Okay, several hours later and I am home for the holidays. If you didn't know, I actually painted my childhood bedroom this like beautiful peacock blue color. I found a limited edition Sprite winter spiced cranberry in the garage fridge. You know the vibes of the garage fridge. Anders is here. He's hanging out with my brother Rob. They're like playing video games or watching like FIFA YouTube videos. I don't know. I'm just glad they get along and they're enjoying their bro time. I thought we could start Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. Guys, I'm terrified, yet I'm so excited. As Magnolia and BJ's love story hurtles to its inevitably dramatic conclusion, these two will finally learn whether they'll actually be together forever or die trying. Ugh, I'm gagged. Oh my god. The dedication. To anyone whom the more stingy parts of this book resonate with, anyone who's grieved or is grieving or has lost or is losing, anyone who worries about the black, empty nothingness, everything is going to be okay. Okay, I had to put my hair in a ponytail because this is serious. I did download it onto my Kindle. I read all the other books in the series on my Kindle, so it feels like I'm coming home. I was able to see all 5 of the books together in this little collection on my Kindle, and something about that just felt like really satisfying. Let's do it. If you ask me if I'm a Magnolia Parks girl or a Daisy Hates girl, I'm gonna start a fight because I can't choose. Okay, I made it through the first 2 chapters. No tears so far, but I am getting sleepy, so I may call it a night. Good morning, everyone. It's the next day, and we're gonna get back to reading Magnolia Parks Into the Dark today. I want to keep this vlog spoiler free, but basically if you've read Magnolia Parks, you know there's something really sad that happens at the end of The Long Way Home. So we're really just starting to kind of unpack all of that. I'm probably gonna go downstairs and sit by the Christmas tree and try to read for a little bit. I'm gonna put my headphones on so as to let everyone know I'm not to be disturbed. Today's the only day over the next like 3 days that I have like no plans really. So I want to take advantage of that and try to get pretty far in this book. I think I might set the goal of getting halfway. So let's do it. Okay, it's just about 3 p.m. and I've been reading like off and on all day. I wanted to stop since I made it to 20% and just kind of check in and give you my first impressions. I'd say the way these chapters are written, if you've never read Magnolia Parks, there's certain chunks of the chapters that read like really rich diary entries, and they're explaining their feelings and their thoughts in a way that really gives you insight to them as a person. And then the other kind of chunks that you get in these chapters are usually scenes with other people, specifically probably like the bigger full box set friend group or with their parents or just other little like groups of 3 or 4. They read like screenplay, like you can really see it come to life. Like I feel like I'm reading a script almost. And then those parts are so rich because they're so dialogue heavy. Jessa Hastings doesn't try to like flip back and forth between the diary and the live action. It's just so like a masterclass. I love seeing how these characters progress and develop, and just like their arcs in general are so captivating. So far, BJ's character development has been like chef's kiss in this book. I'm obsessed with BJ in this book. He has not annoyed me. Well, he's maybe annoyed me once or twice. I think the tragedy that we're following kind of throughout this book has really been kind of the center of the story. All the while, the like celebratory thing that's happening and kind of the juxtaposition of those 2 realities for Magnolia and BJ, I think has been a really interesting way to see things play out. This one definitely is exploring more elements of like mental health. Magnolia has ADHD and I think OCD and an eating disorder, and all of that's kind of coming to a head. And so I'm gonna be interested to see how that is addressed and like cared for in the book. But yeah, I am just about on chapter 14. I've got 10 hours left in the book, so I'm definitely missing Daisy and Julian. That's my update on Into the Dark so far. I'm gonna keep reading. Again, I'm gonna try to make it halfway. Okay, it's 11 p.m. I took a break for a while, but I'm back. I'm 46% of the way through the book and Julian's here. So thank God, honestly. I didn't know if we were going to get a Julian appearance. I guess it kind of makes sense because hopefully the next Daisy Hates book will follow the same timeline. And so we want like scenes with like Magnolia and the box set in Daisy Hates. Guys, oh my God, I cannot. Some people go to their hometown bars the night before Thanksgiving. I sit in my childhood bedroom and fangirl over Julian Hates making a reappearance in the last Magnolia Parks book. This book has a little bit of a different tone, honestly, than some of the others, considering the circumstances. And honestly, I really like kind of the switch in tone. It makes all of our characters a little more relatable because it's a little bit less of a focus on their lifestyle and more on like the problems that permeate despite lifestyle. I feel like this is a really like rewarding read as someone who like fell in love with these characters despite their flaws. We're getting to reap the benefits of like seeing their growth. I just love these books so much. I didn't realize how much I was going to love them when I started. The more you read, the more you understand. Like I think for me, when I first read Magnolia Parks, I was like, yeah, I like it. I don't really see what all the hype's about. Then I read Daisy Hates and I was like, oh, I'm starting to understand. And then I read The Long Way Home and I was like, okay, I get it. Then I read The Great Undoing, and I was like, okay, so I'm in a cult. And it's fun to just like be culty for a minute, you know? I'm having a culty Thanksgiving. I'm so obsessed. Okay, I'm going back to reading. It's the next day. It's actually Thanksgiving today. I actually woke up a little bit early this morning and was just reading on my Kindle in the dark for like an hour. And then I had to start getting ready because we do like Thanksgiving lunch with my family, and my grandparents just left. So it's back to just like the core squad here at the house. But I wanted to let you know how Into the Dark is going. I am currently just about 75% of the way through the book. which is crazy. I've just been cranking through this book. It is so freaking good. I'm on chapter 64. I am about 525 pages into the book. I think I'm gonna get back to reading. I put my How's the Weather Parks sweatshirt back on because it's just so cozy. It's one of my favorite bookish sweatshirts that I have. It's just hard to willfully like go into having to wait on more books to come out, but guess that's what I'm doing this afternoon. Hello. I have finished Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. I think it goes without saying this is a 5-star, really like infinity star read and series for me. I'm like emotional having to give my review right now. I like genuinely am at a loss for words. The most beautiful ending to Magnolia and BJ's story. Like I'm gonna get emotional thinking about it again. Like, whew, it's breathtaking, and I need to meet Jessa Hastings and give her a hug. I feel the strongest book hangover like ever. I feel like this book really made me love Magnolia so much more. Like right now I feel like I'm a Magnolia girl, but I think it's just because I just read Into the Dark, of course, and then I'm sure when we get back to the next Daisy book I'm gonna be like, no, I'm a Daisy girl. And like I love them both, but they're very different. And I think this book I really resonated with Magnolia in a lot of ways because you kind of got to see Magnolia and BJ stripped down to like their core, to their bare bones, who they are as people beyond just their lifestyles, their money. I'm just so emotionally connected to these characters, like more than I thought was possible. So I seriously have no words, guys. Outstanding, remarkable work from Miss Jessa once again. I will be darkening the door of my local bookstore the moment the next Daisy Hates book comes out. But in the meantime, I have finished another series that I'm in the middle of, and that is the last one for this vlog. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know. I think they're really satisfying getting to see people finish series that they're in the middle of. And also comment down below if you made it this far in the video, and let me know what your favorite book series of all time is, because now that I've finished some book series, I feel like I may be looking to start some new ones. So I'd love to hear what your favorite is. Oh, and be sure to subscribe down below if you're new here so you don't miss a video from me. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I will see you super soon in my next video. Bye!